My name is Jason Hall, and a month ago, I thought I had life figured out, steady job, beautiful wife, decent house in the suburbs. I wasn't rich or famous, but I had peace, and in today's world, that felt like a win. Funny how one night, one tiny moment can start unraveling everything you thought was secure. For me, it started at a party held in my honor, and a gift that came wrapped in pretty paper and a lie. It was a Friday night, and the office had gone all out for the celebration. I just landed a regional director position after 9 years of busting my tail at the firm. The venue was one of those rooftop places with fairy lights strung overhead, soft music humming through the speakers, and waiters in black button-downs offering you everything from crab cakes to mocktails garnished with mint sprigs. Ashley, my wife, was the one who orchestrated the whole thing. She charmed my coworkers, laughed with my boss, even hugged the office assistant who usually got on her nerves. She was dazzling that night, wearing this navy blue dress I hadn't seen before, hair in soft waves, eyes glowing like she actually believed in every word of the toast she gave. She said things like, "Jason is the most honest man I've ever known, and he's steady like stone, and I'm lucky to call him mine." I stood there grinning, half embarrassed, half buzzed from champagne and compliments. I remember thinking, this woman really loves me. Then came the gift. I was mid-conversation with my colleague Aaron when Ashley walked over and handed me a small box, modestly wrapped, no flashy bow, just a small sticky label on the front. "One more," she said with a coy smile. "Something personal." I took it, smiling as I peeled away the tape. The box was light, maybe chocolates or something small. Inside was a sleek black tin with gold trim, clearly some kind of boutique candy. But what made me freeze was the note taped to the top. "You said you loved these in college." "N." My smile faltered. I looked up at Ashley. "Who's this from?" She blinked once. "From me," she said quickly, then laughed. "Or." I wrapped it. "It's probably from your boss. He knows Noelle. Must be an inside joke or something." The music kept playing. Glasses clinked in the background. Someone started singing softly behind us. But it all faded under the weight of that note. Here's the thing, Ashley and I met after college. She didn't know what I liked in college. But Noelle did. Back when Ashley worked in HR, Noelle was her coworker. She used to come home annoyed about her, called her fake deep, always bringing crystals into the break room and reading astrology charts. I only met her once, maybe twice, but I remembered a specific conversation we had during a winter holiday mixer. We were standing next to the cheese platter, classy, I know, and somehow started talking about stress eating during finals. I told her how I'd crush a box of dark cherry cordials while writing essays. She laughed, said it was weirdly charming, and we moved on. Just a quick moment, nothing flirty or memorable. But she remembered. Ashley shouldn't have. I held the box of chocolates in one hand, the note in the other. My chest tightened. N, just an initial, but it may as well have been a signature in bold red ink. I showed her the note again. "You sure this was from my boss?" There was a beat just long enough to notice. A pause that shouldn't have been there. Ashley's eyes flicked to the note, then to me. She let out a quick, overly loud laugh, then reached for the box. "Don't overthink it, Jay. Maybe Noelle sent it to be funny. Or maybe someone's pulling a prank." But her smile didn't reach her eyes. And her hand trembled slightly as she dropped the box into a gift bag with the others. The rest of the night went on like nothing happened. People gave speeches, toasted champagne, snapped photos. I smiled, nodded, even laughed in the right places. But in the back of my mind, that note kept flashing like a warning light. "You said you loved these in college." Ashley didn't know that story. Ashley couldn't have known. We didn't talk about it again that night, but I saw her. Every now and then her gaze would flick to me with this tight, worried look. She was watching me, trying to read if I believed her. Trying to measure how much she'd messed up. On the way home, I brought it up again. "So, seriously, do you really think that was a joke? From my boss?" She kept her eyes on the road. "I told you already," she said lightly. "It's not a big deal, Jason. You didn't answer the question." "I don't know," she snapped, more sharply than I expected. Then, softening, "Maybe I forgot where I bought them. Maybe I saw them and just remembered you like chocolate. But not those. You've never seen me eat those." Silence. I turned to look at her, but she kept her face forward. I could see her jaw tightening in the glow of passing streetlights. When we got home, she dropped the gift bags by the hallway table and disappeared into the bathroom without a word. I stood there in the living room, staring at that sleek black tin, wondering if I was making something out of nothing. But it didn't feel like nothing. I'm not a paranoid guy. Never been the jealous type. Ashley had always been the social one, dinners with friends, girls' nights, gym classes. I trusted her. Completely. Until that note. Until her eyes widened for a fraction of a second and she scrambled to cover it with laughter. It's wild how quickly your brain starts connecting things once doubt sets in. The way she'd been acting lately, sudden detoxes from social media, new clothes I hadn't seen before, leaving her phone face down every time she walked into a room. I'd noticed it, but I'd written it off. We were busy, stressed. People change, right? Now, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Something more than a prank or a misplaced gift. I sat on the edge of our bed that night while she pretended to sleep, her back turned toward me. I stared at the ceiling, that note burned into my memory. You said you loved these in college. And I realized something. It wasn't about the chocolates. It was about who remembered, and who wasn't supposed to. The Monday after the party, I woke up earlier than usual. Couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling that note like a vulture over road *LL. I told myself I was being paranoid. People forget things. People make mistakes. Maybe Ashley really did think I liked those chocolates. Maybe she'd seen me buy them once in passing. Maybe. But then again, maybe not. That's when I started to notice things, not new things, just old things I'd ignored. Patterns I used to chalk up to Ashley being just Ashley. She had this habit of taking off for the gym late at night, said she liked the vibe when it was quieter, fewer people around. I never questioned it before. Sometimes she'd come back flushed, talking about how intense her workout was. Other times she'd come back completely fresh, no sweat, makeup still intact, not a hair out of place. Didn't push too hard today, she'd say with a smirk, grabbing a LaCroix from the fridge. But now I noticed how often she came back not tired. How she'd go upstairs to shower even when she didn't look like she needed one. How her phone always stayed with her even when she walked from the kitchen to the hallway like it was fused to her hand. One night, I got in her car to move it from the curb and there it was in the cup holder, a to-go coffee cup from a local spot she never mentioned with the initials Ambi scribbled on the side in Sharpie. My pulse ticked up. I waited until dinner to casually ask, "Hey, who's Abby?" She blinked. "What?" "The coffee cup in your car. It had initials on it." "Oh," she said quickly. "New barista. Super friendly. She gave me a free scone the other day." Ashley nodded too fast, grabbing her fork and stabbing a cherry tomato. "Yeah. Nikki. Or Nina. I forget. She talked a lot. I didn't push. But I remember the handwriting. Neat, tall letters. Masculine." Around the same time, Ashley went through what she called her digital detox. She deleted every photo of us from her Facebook. Some from Instagram, too. When I asked why, she smiled and said, "We live in real life, Jay. Why does everyone need to see everything? It's just clutter." It sounded reasonable. But I remembered how a year ago she used to post every brunch, every anniversary, every blurry picture of our dog sleeping on my chest. Yeah? Nothing. No, happy birthday to my love. No, date night with my guy. We were invisible. Then came the scarf. It was a Tuesday night, cold and windy. Ashley left the house in a rush, claiming she was meeting Courtney, her best friend, for drinks. I kissed her cheek as she left, and something lingered. Cologne. Not hers. Not mine. And definitely not the scent Courtney wore. This one was muskia. Woodsy. Male. When she came back a few hours later, scarf looped around her neck, I asked, "What cologne is that?" She looked puzzled for a second, then her face cleared like she'd just remembered a script. "Oh, the cab driver. He had it on so strong I had to crack the window." She tossed the scarf into the laundry bin like it was contaminated. "That smell's giving me a headache," she added casually. She was quick on her feet. Too quick. Then came Courtney. Now, Courtney and I had always been cool. We weren't tight or anything, but she'd been around long enough to know me, to know our relationship. She was over one weekend and Ashley had stepped out to get wine. We were talking about yoga. Ashley had recently started going every Tuesday and Thursday night, and Courtney just kind of blurted it out. "Doesn't it bother you?" she asked. "Doesn't what bother me? That she wears eyeliner and lipstick to hot yoga?" Courtney paused. "I mean, I barely brush my teeth before class. And she shows up like she's going to a fashion shoot." I laughed, mostly out of discomfort. "She says it makes her feel more in it. Mental discipline or something." Courtney tilted her head. "Sure. If you say so." I didn't respond. But later that night, when Ashley came back from her session glowing and somehow not a single drop of sweat on her neck, something in me twisted. I tried talking myself out of it. Maybe she was just having a phase. Maybe she wanted to feel better about herself. Maybe it had nothing to do with Noelle. But that name kept looping through my mind like a glitch in the Matrix. Noelle. I didn't even know if they were still in contact. Ashley hadn't worked with her in over a year. I hadn't seen her name on any texts, no social media tags. But I remembered the way Ashley used to talk about her, mocking, almost jealous. She's always staring at people too long. She thinks she knows everything. She's got a tattoo of Saturn on her collarbone like she's the center of the universe or something. It was always too much commentary about someone she barely talked to. And now? A gift signed N. Chocolates only Noelle could have known about. A nervous laugh. A lie I could feel in my bones. I started retracing everything in my head. Why was Ashley suddenly so obsessed with going out after work? Why were her phone notifications always on silent? Why was she suddenly locking her laptop when she left the room? I didn't want to be that guy. The one who spies on his wife. The one who checks her location or snoops through her bag. But suspicion is like a crack in your windshield. At first, it's small. Harmless. But once it's there, every bump in the road makes it spread. That crack was now a fracture. One night, she came home from a late spin class and dropped her gym bag in the hallway. I waited until she was in the shower. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside, water bottle, change of clothes, and nothing else. No gym towel, no locker tag, no receipt. It was like she had packed it to look like a gym trip but forgot to make it real. She came down the stairs an hour later, hair still damp, wearing that loose sweatshirt I got her last Christmas. She looked peaceful. Too peaceful. You okay? She asked, curling up beside me. Yeah, I said, kissing her forehead. Just tired. She smiled. You've been kind of distant lately. Just thinking, I said. She rubbed my leg gently, then turned her attention back to the TV. I watched the way her fingers curled into the hem of her sleeve. Like a reflex. Like a tell. In poker, that's what we call it, a tell. A twitch, a tick, a gesture someone does when they're bluffing. I was starting to believe my wife had a tell. The night it all fell apart didn't begin like anything special. In fact, it was boring. Ordinary. The kind of night you'd forget a week later unless it changed your life. I wasn't supposed to be home early. I usually stayed late on Thursdays, catching up on reports and budget breakdowns no one but my department ever cared about. But that day, my last meeting got canceled. I figured I'd surprise Ashley, maybe grab takeout on the way home, catch an episode of that show she always begged me to watch. Something easy. Domestic. That's what love looks like after a few years. You start thinking of time as currency. Showing up early becomes a gift. Sharing quiet moments becomes proof of commitment. You start believing small gestures can hold big cracks together. But when I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something strange. Her car was parked sideways, like she'd rushed in. The porch light was on, but none of the living room lights were. The curtains were only half drawn, and soft music floated faintly out the open upstairs window. Jazz. Not her usual upbeat playlists. Something smooth. Nostalgic. Like a memory trying to seduce the present. I stepped inside and instantly smelled it, sandalwood. Not our candles. Not her perfume. Not my cologne. It was subtle, but it filled the air like someone had been living there, making themselves at home. The lights were dimmed and there was a half-empty glass of wine on the kitchen counter. Lipstick stain. Not from a casual sip. It had been cradled, savored. And it wasn't a wine we kept in stock. It was a Pinot we tried at a work event years ago and never bought again. I set the takeout bag on the counter without making a sound and moved toward the stairs. Halfway up, I heard it. Water running. From the bathroom. Laughter. A man's voice, low, smooth, familiar in the worst kind of way. Second chances, he said, followed by another laugh. Ashley's laugh. I froze. There's a kind of stillness your body goes into when your brain can't catch up. Not fight or flight, just pause. Like your soul hits a buffering screen. I didn't go straight to the door. I backed up, heart pounding, every step deliberate. I turned the corner into the bedroom and opened the walk-in closet. There it was. On the floor. A gift box, the gift box. The one with the chocolates from the party. The label was gone now. Sloppily ripped off. It lay open, a few pieces missing. And next to it, like some twisted cherry on top, a shirt. Not mine. It was a men's button-down. Pale blue. Still faintly creased from being folded like it had only just been taken out of a bag. My hands felt numb. My breath shallow. I couldn't even feel my legs, like they belonged to someone else, someone watching from a distance. I stepped out of the closet, walked to the window, and God help me, I looked. The curtains weren't fully closed. Just enough of a gap to see what I should have never seen. Ashley. Hair wrapped in a towel. Skin glistening like she'd just stepped out of the shower. She was in her clothes, bare feet against the rug. And in front of her, Noelle. I hadn't seen her in a year. Maybe more. But I recognized her immediately. That Saturn tattoo Courtney once joked about. That cropped haircut, the one Ashley used to criticize. Now she was running her hands up Ashley's arms. And Ashley wasn't pulling away. They were kissing. Noelle's hands slid around her waist. Ashley leaned into her like she'd done it 100 times before. I didn't feel anger. Not right away. What I felt was distance. Like I was watching a scene from a movie where I already knew the ending. All the little things I'd ignored came rushing back like a wave hitting the shore. The deleted photos. The gym trips with no sweat. The perfume. The scarf. The note. The lies. It all lined up and suddenly nothing about it surprised me. I wasn't walking in on betrayal. I was watching the final act of a story that had started long before I'd even realized we were in one. I didn't confront her. Didn't throw the door open or scream or demand answers. I just stood there memorizing it. Committing the moment to memory. Not to torture myself later, but to remind myself I wasn't crazy. That everything I'd suspected was real. That my gut hadn't betrayed me, she had. I left the house quietly. The way someone leaves a funeral. My own funeral, really. Because whoever I was before that moment, husband, partner, best friend, was gone. I sat in the car for maybe 10 minutes, hands on the wheel, the engine off. The street was still. The porch light buzzed faintly behind me. My phone buzzed with a message from a friend asking how the new position was going. I stared at the screen, then locked it. There was nothing to say. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I just drove. Not home. Not to a hotel. But to the only place that made sense in that moment, a dusty old motorcycle repair shop on the edge of town owned by an old friend I hadn't seen in years. The place I used to hang out back in college, before suits and meetings and boardrooms. Before Ashley. It smelled like grease and freedom. He wasn't there that night, but he'd given me the key years ago for emergencies. I guess this qualified. I found an old folded jacket in the corner, used it as a pillow, and lay on the bench, staring at the ceiling until morning. No music. No distractions. Just the sound of my own breathing. I remember whispering to myself, not like a prayer, more like a confirmation. She really did it. Not past tense. Is doing. Because even as I lay there, they were probably laughing, maybe drinking wine, maybe whispering all the things they thought I'd never hear. But I had heard enough. And I had seen too much to ever unsee it. I didn't sleep much that night at the shop, just drifted in and out the way you do when your body's tired but your mind refuses to shut off. I wasn't mourning yet. It hadn't hit me like a good punch. It felt more like a slow leak, like someone poked a hole in the life I built and now the air was just quietly seeping out. By sunrise, I was sitting on the curb out front, coffee from a gas station in one hand, my phone in the other. 3 texts from Ashley. 10:32 p.m., where are you? I'm getting worried. 11:58 p.m., Jay, please don't do this. Just talk to me. 1:14 a.m., come home. We can fix this. I stared at the screen for a long time before turning it face down on the concrete. No reply. I didn't ghost her because I was scared. I wanted her to feel the silence. I wanted her to wonder if I knew. To panic. To retrace every step of her betrayal and realize just how little effort she put into hiding it. That part mattered more than rage or accusations. I didn't want drama. I wanted truth to weigh on her like a stone she couldn't put down. That morning, I took a shower in the backroom sink and changed into an old hoodie I found on a hanger by the door. I looked like hell. Felt worse. But the weird part? I also felt lighter. I'd stopped waiting for clarity. I had it. Now it was time to act, not with fire, but with precision. First move? The bank. Ashley and I shared everything financially. Same account, same card logins. We weren't rich, but we had enough. We were planners. Saver types. We even had a spreadsheet for grocery budgets. I logged in from my phone outside a library. The signal was terrible, but what I found made my stomach twist all over again. A cash withdrawal. $600. On the day she said she was in D.C. for a business retreat. I remembered her calling me that afternoon. Said she was sitting in a hotel seminar about team synergy and joked about falling asleep on her boss's shoulder. But here, right in front of me, was the receipt. Withdrawal made at an ATM in Brooklyn, 2 blocks from Noelle's old apartment. Signed on the digital check-in screen with the initials MB. She hadn't even tried to hide it. No fake business email. No shell card. No burner phone. Just bold, almost lazy deception. It hurt. Not because of the amount, but because of how little she thought I'd notice. As if I was some character in the background of her show, someone too boring or trusting to question the rewrite. I started collecting things. Quietly. Intentionally. That week, I told Ashley I'd be staying with a colleague for a few days. Just to decompress, I said. The promotions got my head spinning. She replied with an of course and a kiss emoji. I watched the dots flicker on screen, typing, deleting, typing again, then vanish. She was worried. That was good. It meant the silence was working. From there, I built my own file. Screensh *TS of her calendar and its inconsistencies. Photos of the gym parking lot on nights she was supposedly at spin class, empty, dark, not a soul inside. Google history on our shared tablet where she'd looked up hotel rates and wine bars halfway across town. Receipts. Location pins. That open box of chocolates still in the closet, slightly crushed. I wasn't planning to explode. I wanted her lies to tell the story for me. At night, I'd sit at the shop after hours, headphones in, going over timelines. Matching texts to transactions. Plotting what she said versus where she was. I made duplicates of everything, one on a USB drive, one on my work laptop, another saved to cloud storage under a name she'd never guess. I stored one copy in an envelope and taped it beneath the sink in the shop bathroom. I wasn't paranoid. I was methodical. There's a difference. She started calling more. Leaving voicemails. Her tone was sweet again. Familiar. Like she was trying to rewind us back to who we were before the cracks started showing. She even left a post-it on the front door of the house when she realized I hadn't been home in days. It just said, "We should talk. Whenever you're ready." No signature. No heart. Just neat handwriting and that fake optimism she always used when she was afraid I was slipping away. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that she had already lost me. Not just because of Noelle. Not just because of the affair. But because of the way she erased the version of me that loved her without hesitation. She rewrote us and I wasn't even part of the draft. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the ease with which she carried it. The way she danced between lies like she'd rehearsed them. The confidence of someone who thought she'd always be forgiven. But not this time. This time she wouldn't get tears. She'd get proof. And soon I'd hand it to her with a bow. The funny thing about pretending is how quickly it becomes a habit. A kind of armor. By the end of that week, I had learned how to smile at Ashley without letting the betrayal touch my face. I laughed at her jokes. Asked about her work. Cooked dinner one night like nothing had happened. She looked relieved. Maybe even hopeful. Like maybe the silence had scared me just enough to come back home emotionally, not just physically. She didn't know I was already gone. The night I came back, she greeted me like I was a returning soldier. Hugs. Wine. That slow kiss she hadn't offered in weeks. "I missed you," she said, her voice low, vulnerable. "I'm really glad you're home." I smiled. Told her I was glad to be back. What I didn't tell her was that I'd already found out about the parking receipts near Noelle's building. That I had 2 voice memos saved on my phone, snippets of conversations between her and Courtney where Ashley joked about working out her frustrations with an old friend. That I'd found the burner Instagram account Noelle used where she and Ashley exchanged late-night comments under fake names. She had no idea that every time she touched my hand I saw her fingers on someone else. Still, I played the role. I was good at it, probably too good. We went to brunch with friends that weekend. She wore that yellow sundress she knew I liked. In public, she acted like everything had reset. And I matched her laugh for laugh, story for story. I held her hand in front of people. Let her lean on me. I even posted a photo of our coffee cups on Instagram with some stupid quote about strong starts and stronger partnerships. The post got comments like, "Couple goals and you two are perfect." Perfect. Ashley beamed when she read them. "Feels good to be back," she whispered. I nodded. It does. But underneath that surface-level piece, I was still building the case. Every day, I'd come home and drop a compliment. Every night, I'd wait until she was asleep, then sneak onto her laptop, her tablet, even the Apple Watch she always forgot to lock. She made it so easy it almost made me angry. As if I meant so little she didn't even need to cover her tracks. In a notes app, I found what looked like a journal entry she never meant to share. Dated 2 months back. Sometimes I wonder what life would be like if I had the courage to choose myself. Noelle makes me feel like I can breathe again. With Jason, it's always been about stability, predictability. But what if I want something that shakes me awake instead? What if love isn't supposed to feel safe? That line, what if love isn't supposed to feel safe? Burned. As if I was a cage. A burden. I printed it. Highlighted it. Filed it away with the rest. I built a document the way a lawyer would. Timelines. Maps. Chat logs. Every lie stacked neatly, one on top of the next. I made 3 copies and hid them in 3 different places, one at the shop, one on a flash drive I kept in my coat pocket, and one in a manila envelope duct-taped under the kitchen sink in the house she thought we were rebuilding. Every time she touched my arm or asked about my day, I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Because I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed a setting. A stage. A dinner. I started planning a Friday night just for us. I told her I wanted to show her I was grateful, that the time apart had made me appreciate what we had. Her eyes lit up. I'd love that, she said. Do you want to go out? No, I said. I want it to be just us. Here. Like old times? She started prepping 2 days early, bought new candles, fresh flowers, even that lavender table runner she always insisted made the place feel intentional. She played our playlist while cooking. Wore the necklace I got her on our first anniversary. She wanted the night to feel like a turning point, and I let her believe it. I told her how beautiful she looked. I poured the wine. We clinked glasses, and she leaned forward with this look that tried to bridge 100 lies with one smile. She asked, "Do you really think we can fix this?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached down and slid the small, square box across the table. Her face lit up, probably thinking it was jewelry. A sign of recommitment. "It's just something small," I said. She opened it. Inside, a flash drive. And a stack of printed papers, *TS, emails, receipts, her own highlighted journal note. Topped with Noelle's shirt. She stared at it for a second like she couldn't quite process what she was seeing. Then, slowly, her hands began to tremble. "Jason, what is this?" "You tell me," I said, my voice calm. She started, but nothing came out. She blinked, lips parting. Her mouth moved like she was searching for the right line in a place she hadn't rehearsed enough. "I send a copy to your boss's work email," I added. "Don't worry. No context. Just the files. Let them draw their own conclusions." Color drained from her face. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. "Because you rewrote us," I said. "And now I'm returning the favor." Her voice broke as she spoke again, pleading, trying to grab control. "It wasn't like that. You don't understand. It wasn't just cheating. It got complicated. Noelle manipulated things." She threatened. I raised a hand. Don't drag her down to explain what you chose." She looked like she might fall apart right there, eyes wet, fingers twitching, mouth trembling as she tried to find the right shape for an apology that would never come out honest. I stood up, pulled my keys from my pocket. "I'm not yelling. I'm not staying. You don't get a fight out of me, Ashley. Just a consequence." Her lips quivered. "Where are you going?" I didn't answer. I just placed the house key on the table beside the file and left. That night, I didn't sleep at the shop. I drove until the gaslight came on, then parked in a 24-hour diner lot and sat there until morning, watching other people live their lives through the windshield. I'd been in love with someone who saw me as furniture, as the soft option, the man who stayed. But I wasn't staying anymore. Friday night, candles lit, wine poured, Ashley never saw it coming. When she opened the box, flash drive, receipts, photos, even Noelle's shirt, her hands trembled. "Jason," she whispered, eyes wide. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. "I've sent a copy to your boss," I said calmly. She stammered, something about pressure, confusion, how things got out of hand. I just nodded. So did my patience. I left the house key on the table and walked out. No rage, just certainty and silence. That night, I didn't look back. Not once. 2 weeks later, she showed up at the shop, Courtney with her. They claimed Noelle had blackmailed Ashley, manipulated everything. She brought audio, documents, apologies. I didn't flinch. I had seen too much. "I'm not coming back," I told her. I'd rented a small apartment above a coffee shop, started jogging each morning. My life was quiet, clean, no lies. I still kept the flash drive, though not out of spite, but as proof I survived. Ashley once chased excitement, but now I was the one truly alive and free.